Italian Puma APCs surface in Ukraine. But how did they get there? The war in Ukraine just got a little more mysterious. Italian-made Puma 6x6 armored personnel carriers are now confirmed to be in active use by Ukrainian forces, specifically with the 81st Infantry Brigade. But there's a catch. No one knows how they got there. Unlike previous arms transfers loudly announced in donor press conferences or documented in international aid logs, the Pumas slipped quietly into Ukraine's war zone with zero fanfare. Not from Kyiv, not from Rome. Was it a covert delivery? A private deal? Or a NATO-brokered back channel? Hey friends, Wes here. Here's what I know, and what makes the Puma a valuable addition to Ukraine's battlefield mix. In a war that thrives on public diplomacy and arms deliveries as political statements, the silent arrival of Italian Pumas breaks form. Most Western governments want to be seen backing Ukraine, visibly and loudly. Germany held a press event for its first Leopard tanks. France posted footage of AMX-10 RCs rolling onto Ukrainian soil. So why did Italy stay quiet? There are a few possibilities. The delivery may have been part of a classified bilateral agreement kept out of public view for strategic reasons. Alternatively, it may have occurred through a NATO-coordinated logistics channel designed to minimize visibility, especially during a sensitive election cycle in Italy. Another possibility? Well, these were surplus Italian army vehicles quietly offloaded through a third party, possibly even with private sector involvement. Italy has done this before, having previously donated Puma 4x4s to Libya and Djibouti without much noise. And while Italy hasn't confirmed this batch of vehicles, the design's origin isn't in dispute. Rome is one of the only countries that produces and fields the Puma 6x6 at scale. Either way, the arrival of these vehicles speaks volumes. Someone, somewhere, wanted Ukraine to have mobile, mine-resistant, high-speed troop transports, and wanted it done without the world watching. At first glance, the Puma 6x6 looks like a cousin of NATO's ubiquitous MRAPs and reconnaissance vehicles, but it's more than just an armored box on wheels. Originally developed by the Iveco consortium in the late 1980s, the Puma... Okay, that's getting old. Can we just get it all out of our system now? Originally developed by the Iveco consortium in the late 1980s, the Puma was designed to complement Italy's wheeled tank destroyer, the B-1 Centauro. The 6x6 variant that's now in Ukrainian hands is a light armored personnel carrier tailored for mobility, speed, and survivability in contested environments. Weighing in at 8.2 tons, the Italian Puma 6x6 is powered by a 180 horsepower Iveco diesel engine that pushes the vehicle up to speeds of around 110 kilometers per hour with a maximum range of 700 kilometers. It's crewed by a driver and a gunner with room for an additional 6 to 8 infantry troops, making it a nimble, battle-ready personnel carrier that balances speed, survivability, and mobility. The Puma comes with a modular protection, ballistic armor against small arms fire, fragmentation resistance, and an NBC nuclear, biological, and chemical protection system. It's built to survive roadside blasts and shell fragments, although not designed to shrug off tank rounds or advanced anti-tank weapons. In that sense, it's more akin to the Australian Bushmaster, protected mobility vehicle, at least as far as armor is concerned. On the top, you'll typically find a 7.62mm or a 12.7mm machine gun, but the vehicle can be outfitted with a Milan or a TOW anti-tank missile system for a heavier punch, depending on operational needs. But the real draw, well, it's a logistics dream. Unlike tracked IFVs, the Puma doesn't chew through fuel or maintenance hours like a Soviet-era BMP. It doesn't need a flatbed to get to the front line. It can drive there itself. And that's exactly the kind of platform Ukraine needs, especially for airborne or mechanized brigades rotating in and out of contact zones quickly, or for special forces units operating behind Russian lines. Hell, it even looks fast. But what else would you expect from the same country that produces both the Lamborghini and the Ferrari? The Italian Puma doesn't come with a star power of a Leopard 2 or the American swagger of a Bradley. There's no cinematic footage of it blasting through mock enemy lines at European defense expos, no influencer TikToks set to AC/DC as it kicks up dust. Instead, the Puma has spent the last 2 decades quietly doing the one thing military vehicles are supposed to do: show up, perform, and get soldiers home alive. In Italian service, the Puma 6x6 has been the go-to platform for some of the country's most agile and demanding units. The Folgore Parachute Brigade, the Luganari Amphibious Troops, the 66th Air Assault Regiment, and even the mountain climbing Alpini divisions all use Pumas. These aren't conventional infantry slogging through the open plains. These are fast-moving, hard-hitting, light infantry forces that operate in complex terrain and unpredictable environments. They need vehicles that can move fast, survive contact, and keep pace with modern warfare's improvisational tempo. The Puma delivers. And it's not about Italy either. Rome has quietly exported or donated Pumas to several other countries over the years, rarely with much public attention. Libya received 20 Puma 4x4s in 2013 during a brief thaw in relations aimed at stabilizing its fight against Islamic insurgents. Djibouti, Argentina, and Pakistan have all used the platform for internal security, peacekeeping training, or counterinsurgency. Each transfer happened with minimal fanfare, consistent with Italy's broader strategy of providing military aid without courting headlines. Now that's by design. Unlike France or Germany, Italy tends to practice what you might call low visibility diplomacy. They contribute, often significantly, but without making it a billboard. In Ukraine's case, this may be more strategic than diplomatic. Domestic politics in Italy remain divided over the war. By avoiding the media circus that usually accompanies arms deliveries, Rome can support Kyiv while sidestepping debates at home. Still, the Puma's performance speaks louder than any press release. One unit was confirmed destroyed near Bielahovivka in Luhansk Oblast in April 2024. Its remains posted by a Russian drone camera. That wreckage tells us 2 things. First, the vehicle is seeing frontline action, not just being used to ferry officers or secure checkpoints. Second, the Russians saw it as a valuable enough target to record and share. Ukrainian sources have since linked the Puma to the elite 81st Airborne Brigade, which operates in high-intensity combat zones, including the forest and river lines of the Donbas. For an airborne unit, weight, mobility, and protection all have to strike a perfect balance. The Puma isn't a tank, and it might not win a shootout with a BMP-3, but it will get troops in and out quickly, under armor, and with enough teeth to fight back if needed. So, yes, the Puma has been combat proven in Iraq and Afghanistan, with NATO allies, in Libya with Italian-backed forces, and now in Ukraine, under fire from Russia's full-spectrum arsenal. But it doesn't need a publicist. It just needs a war to prove its worth. And Ukraine, tragically, has more than enough of that to go around. Ukraine's battlefield isn't kind to slow, lumbering transports. The Puma fills a niche that heavier IFVs can't. It can deploy troops quickly in response to Russian breakthroughs, navigate poor roads and off-road terrain without a logistics tail, offer blast and shrapnel protection without sacrificing speed, and bridge the gap between armored mobility and light recon vehicles. It won't stop a Cornet or a Lancet drone strike, but it will help Ukraine's infantry move faster, fight smarter, and survive longer in contested zones. Italy's silence on the Puma delivery might be diplomatic, or it might just be the result of a long-term off-book support strategy. Either way, Ukraine is the beneficiary. At a time when flashy weapon systems get the headlines, Patriots, HIMARS, Leopard 2s, it's the workhorses like the Puma that quietly keep brigades in the fight. Whether dropping assault teams near Bakhmut or evacuating wounded in Kherson, these vehicles give Ukrainian troops one more option, one more tool, and one more way to stay alive. Sometimes the best battlefield aid doesn't come with a flag-waving ceremony. It just arrives, does its job, and disappears into the smoke. The Puma 6x6 might be one of those quiet heroes. That's it for today, friends. Subscribing is the best way to keep this channel healthy, so it would be awesome if you could help me prove to my guidance counselor that YouTube is in fact a viable career choice. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.